Steve, can you give me an example of a hero?
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
some actual characters from films.
Absolutely. Do you remember Charles Bronson? Mm-hmm. When I was growing up, Charles Bronson was the consummate hero. Death Wish, the Great Escape. Put Charles Bronson in a room with 12 guys with guns. Who wins?
Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson. And why? Because he's got a name tag, hi, I'm Charles Bronson, drop dead? No, he wins because he's got all the skills. He's the best shot, he's a good strategist, he's got great tactics, he's good with weapons, he can withstand pain. Shoot Charles Bronson in the head, he just slaps a Band-Aid on, he keeps on going. Shoot the bad guy in the shoulder, they're out for the whole fight. He's psychic. Charles Bronson's psychic. He walks into a room and a guy in a trash can jumps up with an Uzi. Just like that. And Charles Bronson, whirls around before the guy can get a shot off and plugs him right between the eyes. And I ask, how did he know? I mean, if a guy jumped up from a trash can with an Uzi, I'm going to die of the infarction first. I'm going to be surprised. I'm not going to know what to do. So a non-hero is not somebody who's doing something ridiculous. Wouldn't it be funny if? A non-hero is simply somebody who lacks some, if not all, the required skills and tools with which to win. A hero is not necessarily somebody who, in my use of the term, who fights a dragon. A hero is somebody who simply evidences, is that a word? Shows great skill. I mean, in soap opera, for instance. Those people in soap operas, they're kind of perfect. They're supernaturally beautiful, right? And they're never surprised by anything. It's like, say to me, you're breaking up with me. I have to take my glasses off because in soap operas, everybody has perfect vision.
Steve, I don't think this is going to work anymore.
You're breaking up with me?
I just think we should see other people.
For David, right? And you see, in a soap opera, I'm not surprised. I'm hurt. You can see how I'm feeling, but I'm not hurt. But in a comedy, you'd say you're breaking up with me, and the response might be, before dinner? Because, maybe she'll still cook me dinner before she leaves. So a hero is simply somebody who has skills. And in fact, the idea of non-hero skills is very useful. Because in a romantic comedy, say, your hero or heroine starts out either as a jerk, like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, or as a dweeb, like Sandra Bullock in While You Were Sleeping. But how do you make them romantic figures? Halfway or 3/4 of the way through the movie, they start gaining skills. Bill Murray becomes romantic, sensitive, aware, deeply feeling. So he's transitioned from a jerk, a comic figure, to a more dramatic figure. Sandra Bullock becomes aware of her loneliness, which just the knowledge of her loneliness makes her a more dramatic figure. In fact, every movie has that point about 3/4 of the way through, what we call the dark night of the soul, and what that dramatic, especially in comedies, and what that dramatic moment is all the time is simply your protagonists or your main characters becoming more aware of how desperate their situation is, how really futile their situation is. And that creates a dramatic moment. That creates almost a tragic moment. Whereas before, they were ignorant or blithely unaware, or just, what Lisa Kudrow used to call unearned optimism. If somebody is just looks at the world and is just happy with what they see, that's an idiot. That's, Phoebe and Friends, that's Coach or Woody in Cheers. And so, that's not the only way to create a comic character or make comedy, but a character could be very smart, but also be very mean. That's a lack of empathy. And so you have characters like Danny DeVito in Taxi, or David Spade in Everything. And so they create comedy because they simply lack the skill of being a nice person, being empathetic. So you can take skills away, you create more of a comic moment, comic persona, you give the character skills, and it creates more drama.